Hey, so I'm gonna talk about a new album that I just made called Spontalion. So, Spontalion is a very spontaneous album. It was recorded in only a few days, and only one of actually, that's not true. Like, one of the songs was recorded last year in 2025, but the other ones were all recorded recently. So, why did I make this album? Well, I have had a whole lot of ideas. That's usually the case. Like, I just have lots of ideas, and some are good and some are not that good, but I had kind of a lot of ideas that I thought were pretty good, and I wanted to make an album. But something kind of interesting happened last year. So I was supposed to make an album with a group. It was going to be called Sequel Thrower, and the album was going to be released in November. But that didn't get to happen, unfortunately, because I ended up not having people be able to play in Sequel Thrower that I thought were going to be able to. And then also, I had a lot of health issues in the middle part of last year, unfortunately. But luckily, those things are better now. But I was pretty sick for a good 2 months and ended up having to go to the hospital. So not that good, but that's okay. So the Sequel Thrower album did not end up happening, and Sequel Thrower itself did not end up happening either. So yeah, not gonna lie, that was kind of a rough year, but even though it was a rough year, I still wrote a lot of songs for that Sequel Thrower album. Like, I had all of the songs written and ready to record, but they just never were recorded. So there's lots of songs that might just never come to be. But the album itself was, I think it had 12 songs maybe. And how many of those songs present themselves on Spontalion are only really one. There's only really one song, and it's called The Foot Pistol. The Foot Pistol was a song that was going to be on the Sequel Thrower album, which was called One Run One, which it's a whole long story about that, but it was going to be called One Run One. But anyways, the new year happened, and I just decided, you know what, I still want to make something. I just feel like making something. So very spontaneously, I made this album. So I guess I'll talk about each of the songs and what they mean, because there's only 7. So the first one is called Pastel of the Picture Frame. And that's the one that was recorded in 2025, but only in November, so not really so long ago. But that is about how that, last year I really was inspired by a lot of different things. But one person that really has inspired me as a musician for years is John Frusciante, who is in the Red Hot Chili Peppers. But I find a lot of his interviews to be very interesting, and guitar work especially too, and solo stuff, and things that he does on other projects like with Omar, or even in the Mars Volta. But particularly the first thing that I knew of his was Stadium Arcadium, which came out when I was pretty young. And that's one of the first things that I think I really was exposed to as far as music goes. And I just have a lot of memories of listening to Stadium Arcadium and just being mesmerized at a young age by what was going on those songs. And I have this memory of sitting at a table listening to that album at a really young age and staring at these these pictures of me, like baby pictures of me, I guess, that had like pastel color backgrounds. And somehow that memory is just stuck with me, which that's probably what I'm thinking of probably happened in like 2007 or 8, maybe, I don't know. But still, it's something that I think about a lot for some reason. And so I just wanted to make a song about that and kind of talking about how I have changed and progressed is what the lyrics are supposed to mean. And it's sort of a follow-up to the invention of neon, because the invention of neon is supposed to represent the invention of something that is a false joy, a false happiness, because neon is really, if we're talking about neon lights, it's basically false color in a certain way. Like, it's not natural, it's really artificial color. And so the invention of neon, you're creating something for yourself to make you happy, but you realize that that's not really suitable for really being happy. And so the pastel of the picture frame is just talking about how instead I've moved on to something else, and I've found out what really does make me happy is music, and that's what I like to do. Yes. All right, and so then the next song is called Coin Flip. And it's very random. A lot of the songs on here are kind of low produced. That's kind of how I wanted it to be. I didn't want there to be a whole lot going on. So this song, the background beat, if you want to say, is actually just me tapping on my computer. So, yeah, that's all I felt like doing, because I can't play the drums. I guess I kind of can, but I don't have a drum set. So sometimes I choose different things for what the beat will be. Sometimes I choose myself tapping on something, or my organ, the beats that are on that, or I just choose to create my MIDI thing, whatever the case may be. But Coin Flip is supposed to represent, now, like, there were originally lyrics for this that I just decided to not add in because I just thought it would be better suited as instrumental. But it's supposed to represent how some people can flip the coin on you and say, well, I guess in some ways people would call this gaslighting, like acting like something was you when it was really them. And that's something that I experienced kind of a lot in the last couple of years, I guess, from different situations. So that's what that song is supposed to represent. The third song is Wakatipu Improv. It's what it is. It's just improv. And the beginning audio is I recorded when I was by Lake Wakatipu in Queenstown, New Zealand. I wrote that kind of thing when I was there. And that song actually was way more complex and developed, and actually has a different recorded version called Strolling the Huckleberry. But that was going to be a song on One Run One, that like abandoned album. So I just didn't want it to be that version now. But there used to be a more developed version, I guess. But I just had the improv version instead. Then the next songs, the next three, are just all recorded sequentially at the same time. Well, not same time, but you know what I mean, like one after the other on the same day. The first is called Suga, and Suga is already a song that's on the Frank Miano, well, actually just on Four Leaf Clover Life in general. It's on that album from 2023, but I always intended on making another version one day. It was actually at first going to be on Subject to Change, then it was going to be on the One Run One, but I always intended on making another version because I felt like the Suga that is on the Four Leaf Clover Life was not really it just the same thing as the Iceman Cometh, which there's a version of Iceman Cometh on Four Leaf Clover Life. I keep only saying Frank Miano, but that's just the addition. Anyways, both of those songs on Iceman Cometh and Suga, I just always envisioned of having a further development. So I just made another Suga, and it's the same song, but there's an extended ending that's not Piedmont Hills, because Piedmont Hills is what it used to be, but that song got deleted on accident. I think I've said that before, that's why there is a Frank Miano edition. Really, the Frank Miano edition is just the fact that I accidentally deleted half of the album. Hard to explain why, but anyways, so that's what Suga is, and then there is the Spontalion. The Spontalion represents, it's kind of a play on words, I guess you would say, but that has an explanation that I don't feel like saying right now, but it has to do with something being spontaneous, but is what I consider myself to be. Then the next song is The Foot Pistol. The Foot Pistol, the reason why it's called that, and that one too had lyrics to it, but it's supposed to be about the fact that you can sometimes feel like you constantly are shooting yourself in the foot and ruining chances at certain things that you want. That's what I felt like I've done in the past, where I've ruined something on accident with my foot pistol, I guess you'd say. But yeah, I intend on doing better in the future, which is the purpose of the pastel of the picture frame. Then the last song is called Next Sunday, which is the most important song on the album, which is just talking about, a lot of people consider Sunday to be the day of rest. Obviously from a religious standpoint, a lot of people would say that. But even from a personal standpoint, I always consider Sunday to be a day of kind of maybe resetting, I guess. And so sometimes on Sundays, I think about what I want to do better in the future. Sometimes the near future or more in advance. But Sunday is a very reflective day of the week to me. And so you think about, well, what's going to happen by next Sunday? Like by a week from today, what should be different? So I recently, in the last, couple months, I've really been taking action and trying to change the things that I want to improve on, because I recognize some things in my life weren't working in the ways that I hoped. So what can change? And I think that's a good reason why I make these songs, is for whoever might listen to them. I don't know who might, but I want to influence some people and have some inspiration to, if something's not going the way you want, maybe there's some things that you need to fix in your life. Maybe there's some things that you need to work on about yourself and to be a better person. So what can you do? What can you do by next Sunday? So anyways, that's really what this album is. It's just kind of a spontaneous random album, but I was glad to do it. And now, in the future, I will have probably a more, I really do want to make an album with other people. So I don't know how long it'll be until a solo album. I have had the idea for like years, like maybe 4 or more years, to make an album on July 2nd, 2027. And that's just because the date is 7227 and I turned 22. And so there's 2 2s in that number, 7227. I'm also the second of 7 kids in my family too. So I just always thought that was kind of a weird date. It is 7227 and I turned 22 that day. And it's a Friday, so that's good to release an album that day. I don't know. But anyways, that's all I have to say about Spontalion. So hope you like it. If you happen to listen to it, comes out on February 6th, 2626 is the date. There you go.